Sandbox MMA fans, it is time. UFC 304 in Manchester, England is here. I believe it's Manchester. Sick pay-per-view. It's going to be headlining Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammed 2. Tom Aspinall is going to be defending his undisputed heavyweight championship against Curtis Blaydes. That's right, it's undisputed. And the card is just littered with absolutely insane fights. Very happy to see this. Should be an absolute banger card. So, without further ado, guys, let's talk about it. I'm going to go and shrink the camera here, and it is time to talk about UFC 304, my picks, my predictions, my breakdown, who I think's going to win, all the way from the first fight, all the way up to the main event, starting with Shana Banan versus Elise Ardaline. Elise Ardaline took this fight on like a week and a half's notice. I'm going to go with Shana Banan, Irish fighter. They want her to win too, so if it's close, she's going to get the robbery decision help. Can switch stances. Obviously, both these women are not high-level MMA fighters for UFC caliber women, but I do think Shannon Banan is better. Yeah, overall, just this girl taking it on short notice against a girl that the UFC wants to win, who, in this picture, she looks kind of cute. I'm going to be real. But she also looks very plastic. I don't know, man. I'm kind of into it right now, but it is what it is. Yeah, I think she's kind of cute. I'm going to go with Shannon Banan. I think she's going to win this fight via decision. I think she's just better than Elise Ardaline, especially with her taking it on short notice. 9-5 record versus, again, an inexperienced 5-1 record, but UFC wants Shana Banan to win. I'm going with Shana Banan. On to the next fight. Mick Parkin versus Luca Bresky. This one should be pretty easy. I think Mick Parkin is going to get the unanimous decision victory, 30-27, pretty handily. He has a longer reach. His striking is overall better than Luca Bresky. Lucas Bresky is no longer on steroids and just hasn't looked good since he's been in the UFC. I get he beat Walter Walker, but Walter Walker's trash. Mick Parkin beat Mo Usman. I know Mo Usman's trash, but he also beat guys that are a little bit more dangerous than Walter Walker. Walter Walker is fucking terrible. Going back to Mick Parkin's record, he is beating everyone, and he's not doing it overly impressively, but he is beating guys like Jamal Pogues by unanimous decision, Kyle Machado unanimous decision, subbing Neves on the Contender Series, and something is to be said that he trains with Tom Aspinall. I reckon every time he gets in the gym, he gets better, considering he's training with Tom Aspinall. He is the much bigger man going into the cage in terms of weight. He's right there at like 260, not Bradley Martin 260, he's MMA fighter 260. Versus Lucas Bresky, who usually walks in there around, 235, 240. Lucas Bresky, he has a lot of range, especially using his jab, but he's got a shorter reach against Mick Parkin, and I think Mick Parkin has the grappling advantage as well. I think we can see Mick Parkin doing pretty well on the feet, landing really good low kicks. I think Mick Parkin has good low kicks for the heavyweight division for a guy of his size. Training with Tom Aspinall, he's going to get better, but I also think he can push Lucas Bresky up in the clinch and start landing knees and elbows off the break of the clinch, landing little pitter-patter shots in the clinch against the cage. Might even end up getting a takedown, but I think he can win this fight via 30-27 unanimous decision very easily over Lucas Bresky. Kiefer Crosby versus Sam Patterson. Sam Patterson should win this fight pretty easily. Kiefer Crosby is literally a meme, not a great fighter. I think Sam Patterson looked very good against Johan Lainez in their last fight on January 20th on the Strickland Duplessis card. Sam Patterson, 8 inches in reach. Something to be said for that as well. Very good grappling and submission skills. When he shoots a takedown, he's getting it, guys, and I think he's going to be able to choke out Kiefer Crosby in round 1. I think rear naked choke round 1 for Sam Patterson. I think he's a much better fighter. I think you're going to see him land a couple of good low kicks. I think you're going to see his jab get floated out there. Kiefer Crosby's going to get frustrated about a minute and a half in, 2 minutes that he's not doing anything. Maybe start to try and blitz, and then right on the blitz, Sam Patterson's going to time a terrific takedown, transition to the back very quickly, and end up getting the rear naked choke by the end of round 1. So I'm going Sam Patterson, round 1 submission in this fight. Now, Manel Kape and Muhammed Makayev got moved to the early prelims. I don't know if this is legit. I don't know if ESPN's just kind of playing with us here. I can't imagine that they'll actually be on the early prelims. They'll probably co-main the prelims, or they should main event the prelim, or how do I say it? Headline the prelims. But maybe they're concerned about Manel Kape and Muhammad Mokaev, one of them missing weight, which would probably be Manel Kape because he does it all the fucking time. But Manel Kape's in his prime. Muhammad Mokaev, while he is undefeated, has not looked great in all of his performances. Let's talk about this. He's 23 years old. He has plenty of time to learn and continue to grow, but he is a younger guy facing a Manel Kape in his prime. Muhammad Mokaev's striking is god-awful, but his grappling is good. But I don't think it's good to the level where he's going to be able to blast all these takedowns on Manel Kape and he's going to get all of them. I think eventually Manel Kape's going to stuff some of these, and I think he's going to be able to just land a lot of pressure punches on Muhammad Mokaev. He's going to have a lot of pressure on him, and I think it's going to keep Muhammad Mokaev from shooting, thinking that he's going to feint a knee. You're going to see teep kicks, things coming up the middle that Manel Kape's going to throw to try and keep Muhammad Mokaev at bay. Again, 23 years old, that's young, and he hasn't faced the top level at flyweight yet. Again, he faced Perez, and Perez was a good win, but he barely won that fight, and he did it not impressively. He subbed Tim Elliott in the third round, but when you look at the third round, he was actually getting his ass beat. He got saved by the rule that's actually getting rid, like that the UFC is getting rid of on August 2nd. So, again, Muhammad Mokaev literally fights in a way that just bends the rules. Like he's saved by the rules where he gets to drag his hand on the ground so no one can hit him, and if you do hit him, you're probably going to get a point loss. Like Tim Elliott should have had him knocked out with knees. Defel Filo almost beat him until Muhammad Mokaev came out in the third round and won. Malcolm Gordon, same thing. He beat Charles Johnson via UD. Wasn't overly impressive though, and Charles Johnson's a very good win, but I think Manel Kape's just overall better. I think his striking is a lot better, like levels above Muhammad Mokaev, and every round does start on the feet. I think Mokaev has the ability to take this to the ground, but I think he's going to struggle a lot more than people think. Again, he's 12-0. He hasn't tasted defeat yet, and when you start to get to this level of fighter like Manel Kape that can do a lot of different things and is very aggressive, has really good striking, we see fighters run into these issues. And again, at 23 years old, Muhammad Mokaev has a lot of time to continue to improve and get better. He's slowly going up those rankings, but I don't know that it's time for him yet. He's only 23 years old. I think age is going to play a factor here. I think that you're going to see Muhammad Mokaev start to get scared when he's getting really tagged with some of these shots from based Manel Kape. Manel Kape's going to be dropping the F-bomb, not fuck, but the other F-bomb that I probably shouldn't say on YouTube, as he's throwing all these punches, and it's going to end up sparking Muhammad Mokaev. I'm going to go Manel Kape to win via TKO in round 2, getting a knockdown, being dumb enough to go into his guard where we're yelling at him not to, but he's going to land a bunch of violent elbows that will end up getting the victory and a TKO victory at that. I'm going Manel Kape, round 2 TKO. Ground and pound with the elbows. So I don't know that I've picked any underdogs to point, right? We've done all favorites. So actually, Manel Kape, I believe, is an underdog to start this fight. So that might be the first one, but I'm not going to go underdog here. I don't think Oban Elliott's that good. I think he's got a lot of work to do. Again, I think his grappling is pretty decent, but it's not to the point where I think he's going to be able to overwhelm Preston Parsons with it. I don't like all the shots that he takes. He times an occasional good takedown, but then there are some where you know it's coming, and I think that can be very, very problem-causing. I think Preston Parsons is pretty decent. He beat Matthew Semmelsberger when everyone else gets fucking beat up by Semmelsberger and ends up winning the fight. Preston Parsons didn't get beat up like that. Preston Parsons can implement his own type of grappling game, and I don't know how Oban Elliott is off of his back yet. We haven't seen enough. Preston Parsons, 29 years old. He's been doing this for longer. He's fought pretty good competition in the UFC. We're going to take a look at the most recent ones that he's had here, and it was a win over Semmelsberger. I don't love a split to Trevin Giles. I think he should beat it, but again, it can be a tricky fight. Beating Evan Elder after what Evan Elder just did last weekend, 2 weeks ago in Denver, is very, very impressive. I think that's a really good win. And he got that victory. And then he got knocked out in round 1 by D-Rod. We all remember that fight. I think he took it on short notice. But I think Preston Parsons is the better fighter here. I think he's going to win via unanimous decision 30-27 over Oban Elliott. I think he's going to land much better punches on the feet. I think that he's going to... You know what? I think he's going to get a TKO in round 1 or 2. Actually... Does he win it going the distance? Every fight he wins, he goes the distance. I think he's going to finish the fight. I think he's going to do it in round 2 or 3. I think I'm going to go back 2 rounds. I'm leaning towards round 3. I think at the end of this fight, he's going to overwhelm Oban Elliott. And I think Oban Elliott shows that his cardio is not the best. Like, he gasses out like that. And I think Preston Parsons has showed us he's in there for the full fight when he is going to multiple of these unanimous decision victories or split decision losses. I'm going with Preston Parsons to win via TKO in round 3. Marcin Prachnio versus, there's a ton of early prelims. Holy shit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess that's normal. That's not really normal because usually 5 are on the prelims. I don't know why I'm talking so much about this. Modestas Bukauskas versus Marcin Prachnio. We're going with another underdog pick here. I'm going Marcin Prachnio, and I think he's going to outpoint Modestas Bukauskas. I think he's going to use a lot of those low kicks where he's just going to pitter-patter, point away, and win this fight. I think Modestas Bukauskas, his best days are behind him. Even though he's only 30, he's had some very bad beating. Like, he got knocked out bad by Vitor Petrino. He got his knee blown out by Khalil Roundtree. And when you have a guy like Marcin Prachnio picking away at your legs the whole time, that is dangerous. I think that Modestas Bukauskas has more power, but I think Marcin Prachnio is elusive enough to stay on the outside and just point and pick away at Modestas Bukauskas. I think he's going to do it a lot with those kicks. I think you're going to see the leg kicks and the low kicks are going to be the story of this fight. And I think Modestas Bukauskas is going to stand in a lot of trouble in this. I'm going Marcin Prachnio to win a 29-28 unanimous decision. Jake Hadley versus Callan Loughran. Callan Loughran should win this fight. But I get a feeling Jake Hadley's going to pull this one off. And I get it. Callan Loughran's a lot bigger, and he didn't take this fight on short notice like Jake Hadley did. But they're going up to fight at bantamweight, so Jake Hadley's going to have an extra 10 pounds. I don't know if it's going to be all muscle, but again, he cuts to 125, so I'm sure he still has some muscle mass that he's going to be able to put on to make 135 and look pretty decent doing it. And I think that the speed at flyweight is a lot better than the speed at bantamweight for some of these fighters. Lucas Tracy talks about the divisional skill gap a lot. I buy into it sometimes I don't. In this fight, I do think that we're going to see that Jake Hadley's a little bit more skilled than Callan Loughran. I think he has a great grappling game. I think he's hard to get taken down, and he has great grappling as well. Now, Callan Loughran could be big enough when he walks in that octagon to just lay on him and get a decision victory. But I got a weird feeling that's not going to happen. I think eventually Callan Loughran might get tired, and you're going to see Jake Hadley start to outpace him and outwill him, and he's going to end up winning the fight. 3rd round TKO, 3rd round submission. I think he's going to get a 3rd round finish, either a rear naked choke. I don't think he's going to get a guillotine on Callan Loughran. Maybe latch up a Darce, something where Callan Loughran just shoots a very, very obvious takedown. Maybe a Japanese necktie, where Jake Hadley ends up snatching up his neck in a submission off a bad takedown. I think that Jake Hadley can I don't want to say outbox Callan Loughran, but I think he can land more shots, and I think he can mix in other kinds of shots, like his kicks, a little bit better than Callan Loughran can, honestly. And I'm going to go with Jake Hadley to win this fight via a round 3 finish. It's a weird feeling, but I'm going with that underdog there. Jake Hadley to win this fight via a round 3 finish. Molly McCann versus Bruna Brazil. I'm going Molly McCann. This should be a very easy fight to pick. Bruna Brazil, grappling is not her game, and I think that's the way a lot of these strawweights are going to need to beat Molly McCann, by just being a better grappler than her. I think Molly McCann is vicious and violent when she gets in that octagon sometimes, especially her newfound strawweight division where she massacred her last opponent. I think she's going to beat up Bruna Brazil. Bruna Brazil has that one head kick knockout highlight from the Contender Series and has not looked good since then. I'm pretty sure she has lost every fight since then. Oh no, she beat Shauna Benon, and Shauna Benon is terrible. Denise Gomes, she got knocked out. Lumbumbi, Luma Lumbumbi, I'm never going to be able to say her name. She got a unanimous decision victory over her. That's not a very impressive loss from Bruna Brazil. I picked that fight right, and I think Molly McCann end up getting this one done via finish in the 2nd round. I think she's just going to beat up Bruna Brazil, and Bruna Brazil's going to will to go to the ground, and Molly McCann's going to land ground and pound to finish this fight from a stack guard position specifically. So I'm going with Molly McCann. This fight via round 2 KO, TKO, ground and pound. Nathaniel Wood versus Daniel Pineda. Nathaniel Wood's going to win this fight very easily, guys. He's a much better fighter. He's very, very skilled. He has had an unfortunate career in the UFC where he's had robbery victories and he's had fighters, or robbery losses, and he's had fighters cheating to win fights against him. Talking to you, Muhammed, you freaking cheater. You lost to Felipe Lima because he's that guy. But Nathaniel Wood is a very, very good, very, very skilled fighter. Do I think he's a little undersized for featherweight? Yes. But I think his technique is top tier at featherweight here. I think his low kicks are good. I think his boxing's really good. And when he needs to, he can implement the grappling against people that are a little bit more lackluster in grappling. I think Daniel Pineda has tasted defeat numerous times. He's going to taste it again here. But this is going to be a fun scrap, I think. I think Nathaniel Wood's going to end up winning this fight via 30-27 unanimous decision. But Daniel Pineda's going to have a couple of moments where he lands good shots, but Nathaniel Wood's going to be able to take them and just pour on really long combinations. I think Nathaniel Wood's going to win this fight because he's going to be able to extend those combinations, and it's really going to catch the eye of the judges. I'm going Nathaniel Wood to win this fight. I think he's a much better fighter than Daniel Pineda. 30-27 unanimous decision. Now we get to the pay-per-view. Arnold Allen versus Giga Chikadze. Arnold Allen, first of all, got robbed by Movsar Evloev. He did. That rule's dumb. The hand on the ground rule is dumb. It's getting taken away after this card. I think it's on August 2nd, which is right before the Abu Dhabi card, so let's see how that goes. I think Arnold Allen's a much better fighter than Giga Chikadze, though. I think Giga Chikadze is dangerous with his kicks, but I think people underestimate how good Arnold Allen is. There are levels to the featherweight division, and Arnold Allen is at the top tier. Had a competitive fight with Holloway. Yes, he lost, and he lost clearly, but he took a round or two off Holloway, and he looked really, really good. He's a very skilled fighter. His boxing is incredible. He has power. His timing is really good, too. It's one of the things people don't talk about a lot is how good his timing on his combinations are, being able to counter shot and being able to land in moments in which the other fighter doesn't expect it coming. Again, I talk about low kicks a lot. I'm feeling like Joe Rogan over here at this point, but good low kicks, good body kicks, great boxing, can implement grappling if need be, and I think he's smart enough to know that there are going to be points in this fight where he should drive Giga to the back of the cage and just start laying some elbows in the clinch there. Take away Giga's range, disrupt his rhythm. Giga's kicks are really good. I don't think his boxing's honestly that good. I think his hands are okay, but I don't think it's to the level of Arnold Allen, and I think Arnold Allen has the fight IQ to know what he's got to do to win this fight. I'm going Arnold Allen to win this fight, and I think he's going to win it via 30-27 unanimous decision. This is going to be a pretty good one. It's going to be technical. There might be moments in which it's slow, but Arnold Allen's going to have his moments where it's going to be fun. I think he's going to wobble Giga Chikadze at least once. But he's going to look really good in this fight. Arnold Allen should be in the top 5 fighting at all times at this point, but he got robbed by Movsar, so it is what it is. I'm going Arnold Allen to win this fight via unanimous decision. I think he's just a better fighter. Christian Leroy Duncan versus Gregory Rodriguez. I'm going with another underdog. Gregory Rodriguez is going to win this fight, guys. Gregory Rodriguez was rocketing up the division, got chinned by Bruno Ferreira when he should have been using a little bit more grappling than he did, and I think he learned his lesson from that. I think G-Rod's training a lot with Gilbert Burns. You see them together all the time, and I think that only helps him. CLD is dangerous. Christian Leroy Duncan is very dangerous. Great kicks, great punches, unorthodox, fun kind of striking, fast, quick twitch muscle ability. But his grappling I haven't seen enough from to think that it's going to stand up against how good of a grappler Gregory Rodriguez is. I think there's going to be moments in the first round where they're trading a little bit against the cage. CLD is going to land a good elbow. Gregory Rodriguez is going to just land powerful 1-2s that just look very good. But I think Gregory Rodriguez is smart enough to know that in that first round, if he doesn't implement a grappling prowess, he's going to run into issues against Christian Leroy Duncan. I think G-Rod's going to win this fight via submission in the second round. I think the first round they're going to trade a little bit. G-Rod's going to get CLD against the clinch, or against the cage in the clinch, land good shots. CLD is going to try and escape and make a mistake by giving up his back. G-Rod is going to jump on it, and he's going to stand, like, Christian Leroy Duncan's going to be standing while Gregory Rodriguez has the body triangle in on his back, working his little shots, trying to go for the submission, the rear naked choke, isn't going to get it in that first round. But round 2, I think Christian Leroy Duncan is going to start by getting a little hesitant, and then start to just unload a combination that G-Rod is going to time perfectly, get the back, and get the rear naked choke in round 2, early in round 2. I'm going with Gregory Rodriguez by submission. If this top-tier grappler, if this top-tier Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specialist goes into a fight with a great striker like Christian Leroy Duncan and doesn't shoot a takedown or doesn't try and implement any kind of grappling in the first 2 minutes, we need IQ on tail of the tape. They need to take IQ tests before going in there. There is a very easy path to victory for Gregory Rodriguez in this fight, and if he doesn't take it, I'm going to lose my mind. It is going to upset me so much. I like these guys, both of them. Sick fighters. RoboCop goes to war. RoboCop is Gregory Rodriguez. Goes to war all the time. But in this fight, man, you have an opportunity to win this fight and then get a shot at the rankings again. Don't miss out on it. Get your rear naked choke that we know you can get and get your shot at the rankings. I'm going Gregory Rodriguez to win this fight via round 2 submission, implementing his grappling game and being able to get on the back of Christian Leroy Duncan. Bobby Green, I will not be calling him King Green. I think that was cringe to do and stupid to do, versus Paddy Pimblett. Paddy Pimblett, my brother. I'm trying to do him like Hana. I'll get better at that. Call me crazy. Underdog again. Paddy Pimblett's going to win this fight. Paddy Pimblett is going to win this fight, and he's going to win it via submission or ground and pound, some way on the ground in round 2. I think in round 1, he's going to implement his grappling game. You know what? I think Paddy Pimblett's going to get it done via ground and pound in round 1. I think that his grappling is a lot better than people give him credit for. Sometimes he runs into trouble getting it to the ground, but when he's on the ground, if he gets your back, he's not giving it up. You either lose the round or you lose the fight. I'm going with Paddy Pimblett to win this fight, and I think it's going to be his grappling that gets him there. Now, I think there are going to be moments where they're exchanging on the feet. I think Bobby Lee is going to look a lot better. Bobby Green is going to look a lot better on the feet. He's going to land great combinations. But Bobby Green does not do that well when he's walking forward. And I think Paddy Pimblett knows that via his interview with the MMA Guru, which you guys need to go check out. It was an awesome interview, and it showed a side of Paddy Pimblett that made me actually like him. I think Paddy Pimblett has a good game plan. I think he's going to try and let Bobby Green come forward, and he's going to try and counter off Bobby Green's shots. And when Bobby Green makes a mistake, he's going to jump on his back, or he's going to get a takedown. And that's where he's going to end up winning this fight. I think Bobby Green has good takedown defense. But I also think that not many people try to take down Bobby Green a lot. When Islam does, he does it easy, but I get it, that's Islam. Let's take a look at Bobby Green's record, though. Like, we're going to talk about his past fights because they're not overly impressive. Jared Gordon. Now, he's fought a ton. Bobby Green has fought a lot, and I'm worried about, at his age, how much damage has been done to his chin. And I know that people talk about his iron chin and stuff like that, but let's look at this fight history here. Lost to Rafael Fiziev. Fiziev didn't try and take him down. Lost to Moises. Moises did take him down. Ali Quinta, he knocked out. Ali Quinta's old, not that good, and I don't think he was able to get Bobby Green down, but that's not a great grappler trying to take him down. He pieced up Nasrat Hakprest, a guy that stood on the feet with him the whole time. Got slaughtered by Islam Makhachev, taken down easy and beat up. Said in that fight that's the strongest man I've ever faced. And then you have guys like Volk going, he's not that strong. You have guys like Dustin Poirier, who's not a great grappler, right? He's not great at counter grappling. You have guys like Dustin Poirier able to get up from Islam Makhachev. You have Alexander Volkanovski, who's smaller than Islam Makhachev, getting up from takedowns from Islam Makhachev. I mean, you have Drew Dober, I don't believe, getting finished until the 3rd round. Here, Bobby Green got slaughtered. I get it was on short notice, but he got slaughtered, and I just don't like the excuses he had after the fight. Gets chinned here by Drew Dober, and Drew Dober was walking forward the whole time, and Bobby Green was landed on him, but it ends up, he gets 2 TKOs in a row here. That's not good on the chin. A no contest against Jared Gordon. Jared Gordon was beating him. And Bobby Green was going forward, and this is what I mean by Bobby Green doesn't look good when fighting when he goes forward. Bobby Green was going forward, and Jared Gordon was tagging him with these counters. I think that's the game that Paddy Pimblett can play. And I think he can time good takedowns. Now, there was a no contest because Bobby Green got frustrated and literally headbutt Jared Gordon. But Jared Gordon was winning that fight, and Bobby Green ends up headbutting Jared Gordon. Then he gets a submission against Tony Ferguson where he gets dropped. He gets dropped by Tony Ferguson. Now, I know Paddy looked exhausted in that fight with Tony, but he never got dropped. He didn't. So Paddy Pimblett had a unanimous decision victory over Tony Ferguson. Never got dropped. But this is another fight where no takedowns were shot for Jared Gordon. No takedowns were shot with Drew Dober. No takedowns were shot with Tony Ferguson. Grant Dawson has no chin. Great knockout, great win from Bobby Green here, but Grant Dawson clearly has no chin, is not great on the feet, so he didn't have more than 30 seconds to try and shoot the takedown. He didn't do it, and he got chinned. Now, I don't think that I think Paddy Pimblett has a really good chin, if I'm being honest. I think he takes shots very, very well, and where I don't think Bobby Green's going to be able to knock him out. He could piece him up, and there's a way that Bobby Green wins this fight by piecing him up, but I think Paddy's going to win it. Grant Dawson, again, the knockout. Jalen Turner, one of the worst knockouts we've ever seen, one of the worst stoppages we've ever seen. That changes your career. And we saw it when Jim Miller fought him. He got tagged multiple times by Jim Miller. He got dropped by Jim Miller. And then he also got tagged again in the third round, but he ended up winning the fight anyway because Jim Miller just walked forward at him and didn't go for the submission because he had $300K bonus in his mind. Paddy Pimblett's not thinking that. Paddy Pimblett's saying, I want to get the rankings. And I think that we're looking at a guy here that people are saying, Paddy stinks, Paddy stinks. He's not top 10. I think he loses to most of the people in the top 15. I think he loses to possibly all of them. But he is 21-3. He is 29 years old during his prime. He is getting better in every fight. And I think he's going to show great leaps. He's had 7 months to continue to get better after his dominant win over Tony Ferguson. He's going to win this fight against Bobby Green, guys, and it's going to be a round 1 TKO with ground and pound. I think he might knock... Paddy Pimblett also has sneaky power. Let's not forget that. He has sneaky power, and he's huge for lightweight. I think he's going to knock Bobby Green down, and instead of letting him get back to the feet, I think he's going to jump on top of him, threaten with submissions, and end up getting a TKO because Bobby Green's trying to defend the submission. I'm going Paddy Pimblett via round 1 TKO with ground and pound here. And I wouldn't put it past the judges if it goes to decision to give it to Paddy Pimblett if it's close. I also wouldn't put it past the officials to call an early stoppage. So I think there's a lot of things that can go Paddy Pimblett's way here. I'm going with Paddy the Baddy. And I think I want Paddy the Baddy to win too. He's grown on me. Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blaydes. Tom Aspinall is going to win this fight, guys, and the reason why is because he's just better than Curtis Blaydes. I think he's more athletic, he's faster, his striking's better, his kicks are better specifically, his boxing, his hands are so... Now, Curtis Blaydes for a heavyweight has decent boxing, for a heavyweight. But Tom Aspinall's is night and day above him. His hands are faster, he can string longer combinations together. Excuse me. I thought I was going to burp. He can string really long combinations together. And he's going to win this fight, and he's going to knock out Curtis Blaydes in the first round. I think if also need be, he can implement a wrestling game. We saw Jalton Almeida was able to ragdoll Curtis Blaydes in the first round. I think Tom Aspinall has a stronger double leg. Maybe not transitioning to the back as quickly, but Tom Aspinall has very good jiu-jitsu too that people don't know about. And I think Tom Aspinall is going to be able to send 1-2s down the pipe, get Curtis Blaydes' hands coming up, and if he wants, shoot a takedown and get a TKO finish, get a submission finish. I think he's going to get this one done in the first round via finish, though. I'm going Tom Aspinall. He's the better fighter, and I hope he wins. Because if he defends this interim belt, what Tom Aspinall needs to do is call out John Jones. Say, Dana White, I love you, Dana. You know, I'm a great fighter, but... he needs to call out Dana White and John Jones and say, listen, Dana, I defended my interim belt. I've already beaten the guy that's fighting Cyril Gane next. Jailton Almeida just beat a fat guy named Alexander Romanov. He's not ready for a title shot yet. I want my shot at John Jones. I want to prove that I'm the best. John Jones is fighting Stipe Miocic. The fans don't really care about it, and Dana, I've kept my mouth shut for a while, but at this point, you're doing me dirty. I want him to call out Dana and John Jones and say, you guys are doing me dirty. I'm trying to become the best fighter I can possibly be, and I want to fight the best fighter of all time. As much as it pains me to say it, John Jones is the most skilled fighter of all time, till Tom Aspinall beats his fucking ass. But you gotta call out John Jones. You gotta say stop ducking. You gotta say all this shit and be like, I've never seen a guy not defend his belt. It should be the undisputed belt. He should call for saying, I have the undisputed belt now. And this is the real belt if you want it. It's Tom Aspinall's belt. Do that, because you'll get publicity. And Dana White is doing such a dirty thing by diminishing Tom Aspinall by promoting John Jones. You have a heavyweight here that is an upstanding good guy, for all that we know, fights as much as he can, will take anyone, anywhere, anytime, took a Sergey Pavlovich fight, which is the most dangerous fight in the division at the time, on short notice, and won with a back injury. Now he's turning around to defend the interim championship belt. You have a heavyweight in England that's knocking people out in the first round, that's submitting people in the first round, that is the most dangerous fighter that we have seen in a very, very long time, the most athletic heavyweight, the standard for what heavyweight needs to be, and you're not promoting him enough. You're disrespecting him by hyping up John Jones the way that you are. You're disrespecting him by not giving him the John Jones fight. Aspinall should go take care of Curtis Blaydes early and say, John Jones, I want you at MSG. You say the word, I'll be ready. And call him out, call for that fight, and go get that fight. Tom Aspinall, undisputed champion at heavyweight in everyone's eyes. Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammed. Now, I'm going to tell you the two ways that each guy can win it, and then I'm going to tell you who I think's going to win at the end. The champion will start. Leon Edwards can win this fight by staying on the front foot, but keeping Belal Muhammad at kicking range at the end of his punches and at the end of his kicks, using low kicks to chew up the leg of Belal Muhammad, using the great wrestling defense that we know he has now. When Belal Muhammad gets in close, using step-in elbows to hurt him, disrupting his timing by throwing the jab as you see Belal Muhammad move forward, and then as you've thrown the jab a lot, instead of throwing the jab, feint the jab and throw the two down the middle to get a good power shot on Belal Muhammad. Land good kicks to the body. And again, this guy, Leon Edwards, has been training wrestling for Usman, wrestling for Hamzat. So it started with wrestling for Hamzat, wrestling for Usman again, then wrestling for Kobe. He's been training wrestling for like 3 years, counter wrestling. Belal Muhammad is a very good wrestler, but Leon Edwards has been training for wrestlers. So if he can keep Belal Muhammad on the end of his strikes, on the end of his punches, and be able to counter grapple, and be able to defend takedowns, land good knees in the clinch, land elbows off the break, but go forward as much as he possibly can, Leon Edwards will win this fight. Belal Muhammad, his path to win this fight. Strong chin, which I think his chin is fully refreshed. He's taken a lot of time off, which this is the most deserving title contender that we have had in a long time. Can't believe I'm saying it, but it is. Belal Muhammad is a great body kick. And I think if he can use the body kick to close the distance, it'll be good. He needs to win that outside foot battle. He needs to apply pressure. Now, both guys to win this fight need to be on the front foot, and I think Belal Muhammad does a great job of going on the front foot. Do what you did against Sean Brady. Eat the punches, but overwhelm Leon Edwards with activity, feints, and just volume. Pour the volume on if you're Belal Muhammad. When you start to break, mix in a kick off the break, but then go forward, get into boxing range, and pour on the punches, Belal. Get in the clinch. You can go for takedowns. Disrupt Leon Edwards' rhythm by shooting for takedowns, but be careful, don't shoot him blindly. I would go and I would push forward against Leon Edwards with pressure, boxing range, pressure, get Leon against the cage, get in there, get in the clinch, and try and take him down from the clinch. I don't think shooting an open field double on Leon Edwards is gonna work. I think he's going to be able to time knees eventually. I think he's going to keep his distance really well. Belal needs to get on the inside, get to the clinch, and drag Leon Edwards to the canvas. And he needs to make Leon Edwards wilt. We've seen Leon Edwards can wilt. Usman put the pressure on him and Leon Edwards was breaking. We've seen in scenarios where Leon Edwards has broken. He can be broken. And we've seen Belal Muhammad can break people. He broke Sean Brady. Broke Sean Brady. A wrestler. He broke a wrestler. I'm going to pick Belal Muhammad to become the new welterweight champion. And he's going to do it the way I just explained it. Forward pressure, putting punches together, landing good combinations. He looks like he is in the best shape of his entire career here at 36 years old. I think he has a pretty damn good chin. I think he's trained very hard for this fight. I think he has had a lot of time to train for this fight, where when it came to Leon Edwards, it was it going to be Leon? Was it going to be Belal? Was it going to be Shavkat? Was it going to be Hamza? Was it going to be... it was never going to be Hamza. Was it going to be Islam Makhachev moving up in weight? Like, who is it going to be? Belal knew it was always going to be Leon, and he's been training for Leon. And I also think Belal is going to make Leon Edwards start to wilt in the later rounds. And I think Belal Muhammad is going to win this fight with a TKO in round 5, close to the buzzer. Like, we're getting to the last 2.5 minutes of the fight. Belal Muhammad gets an overwhelming 20-punch combination for a finish like Haider Emil got this past weekend. I think Belal Muhammad's going to win this fight, and we're going to hear and new. If it goes to the judges, I think Leon Edwards might get a robbery here. I really do. I think if it goes to the judges, Leon Edwards is going to win this fight, unless it's super clear that Belal won. But I'm going with Belal Muhammad to win this fight. I think he's going to make Leon Edwards break. I think he is going to put the pressure on Leon Edwards. I think he's going to mix up his takedowns and his striking. And I think he's smart enough to know that you should not be shooting a double leg on Leon Edwards from range. I think he's going to push Leon Edwards back against the fence, because Leon will let you push him against the fence from time to time and try and land some counter shots. But be smart. Get to the clinch, get to his hips, and drag him to the canvas. I'm pulling for Belal Muhammad. I know he hasn't been active recently, but I think with the title, he will be active. I think Leon Edwards is never fucking active, and I want Belal Muhammad to win this fight. You will remember his name by the end of this fight. And new welterweight champion, Belal, remember the name Muhammad. I have picked a lot of underdogs for this fight, for this card. Belal Muhammad, Paddy Pimblett, Gregory Rodriguez, Jake Hadley, Marcin Prachnio, Manel Kape. That's 6 underdogs on this 14-fight card. Let's get these predictions going. And like I just said a minute ago, and new welterweight champion of the world, Belal Muhammad. You will remember his name. I hope you enjoyed the content. Please remember to like and subscribe.